What if the villain you feared most wasn't born evil, but was created by betrayal, power, and purpose lost? In Kung Fu Panda 3, we meet General Kai, a terrifying figure who conquers the spirit realm and returns to the mortal world, wielding the chi of fallen masters. He is shown as monstrous, his green glow radiating menace. But hidden behind that aura is a question no one dares ask. Was Kai really the villain? Or was he yet another casualty of the very philosophy he once upheld? Today we unravel Kai's forgotten story and connect it with the misunderstood fates of Tai Lung and Lord Shen, the other so-called villains of the Kung Fu Panda trilogy. Was Kai truly evil, or was he a brother betrayed? Was Chi corrupted, or was it misunderstood? Let's find out. Long before he became a Jade Terror, General Kai was a war hero. And more than that, he was Oogway's closest companion. The two warriors fought side by side, building peace in a chaotic world. In ancient China, conflict was rampant, and warlords ruled with an iron fist. Oogway and Kai, legends in the making, emerged as protectors of the weak. They were brothers, not by blood, but by battle. But what tore them apart wasn't war, it was philosophy. While Oogway found inner peace and a spiritual connection to the energy known as Chi, Kai remained grounded in the physical. He respected strength and action, believing that power could protect. When Oogway began studying Chi from ancient Panda healers, Kai didn't understand. He saw power wasted on peace. And when he discovered how to take Chi rather than share it, he believed he had unlocked the ultimate gift: to control, to unify, to strengthen. In his eyes, he wasn't destroying Oogway's teachings, he was improving them. But to Oogway, that was a betrayal, a theft of sacred knowledge. And so, brother turned on brother. In a climactic duel, Oogway banished Kai to the spirit realm, and with that act, erased him from history. What does it mean to be forgotten? For centuries, Kai wandered the spirit realm, abandoned, alone, growing more bitter with each passing year. The energy he had once revered became a tool of revenge. Every soul he consumed fed his anger, but beneath the fury was heartbreak. He had wanted to protect the world. He had tried to save it. But instead, he was cast out for daring to think differently. The chi he absorbed was not evil, but his intention behind it had changed. With no one to guide him, no one to reach him, his power grew corrupted by isolation. When he finally returned, it wasn't to conquer. It was to prove that his path was valid, that he mattered, and in that sense, Kai wasn't a villain. He was a warning of what happens when ideals become rigid, when philosophy excludes the very people it claims to uplift. Now let's travel back to the first Kung Fu Panda. Tai Lung, master of the leopard style, Shifu's prized student, destined for greatness. He believed he was chosen to be the Dragon Warrior, and for good reason. He trained harder than anyone. His technique was flawless, and he held Shifu's complete trust. But when Oogway sensed darkness in his heart and denied him the scroll, everything shattered. Tai Lung wasn't born evil. He was made by expectations, by Shifu's pride, and by a society that preached destiny but feared ambition. Tai Lung's fall from grace wasn't a rebellion against justice. It was the desperate cry of someone who believed he had done everything right, only to be told he wasn't enough. His rage wasn't baseless. It was grief, masked as fury. In many ways, Tai Lung was like Kai, a product of Oogway's rigid worldview. And just like Kai, he was punished instead of guided. Then there's Lord Shen, the main antagonist of Kung Fu Panda 2. A brilliant inventor, a strategist, a visionary, and yet driven mad by a prophecy. Told that a warrior of black and White would bring about his downfall. Shen interpreted it as a death sentence. But instead of changing course, he tried to defy fate by wiping out every panda he could find. At first glance, Shen is pure evil, a killer, a tyrant. But look closer, Shen was a child who wasn't just afraid of dying. He was afraid of not mattering. He thought he could earn immortality through conquest. That control was the antidote to fear. When his parents banished him, it was the ultimate rejection, not of his actions, but of his very identity. Shen wasn't evil from birth. He was consumed by a desperate need to prove himself, just like Tai Lung, just like Kai. All three were disciples of potential, derailed by pain. Qi in Kung Fu Panda is more than power. It's balance, harmony, connection. But when used improperly, when taken instead of given, it becomes a weapon. Kai took Qi by force, not because he wanted destruction, but because he believed he knew better. His tragedy was in thinking he could own what was meant to be shared. Shen tried to rewrite destiny, not out of malice, but out of fear. Tai Lung believed the world had promised him greatness, and then discarded him. Each of them could have been saved if the people around them had listened, if Oogway had explained, if Shifu had stood by Tai Lung, if Shen's parents had reached out instead of pushing away. But instead, Kung Fu became a mirror, reflecting the flaws of its teachings. Po, the Dragon Warrior, succeeds where others failed. Whoa, not because he is the strongest, but because he accepts who he is. He learns from the past without being bound by it. He forgives without forgetting. He turns Qi from a weapon back into a gift. He redeems not just the Kung Fu tradition, but its failures. And that's the real heart of the trilogy. Not that evil must be defeated, but that hurt must be understood. Kai was never just a monster. Tai Lung was never just a villain. Shen was never just a tyrant. They were all victims of a system that failed to see them fully. In the end, Kung Fu Panda doesn't give us evil for evil's sake. It gives us tragedy, consequence, and the haunting truth that every villain is a hero in their own mind. Kai's story is a warning. Shen's is a lament. Tai Lung's is a heartbreak. And Po? He's the answer. A reminder that redemption is possible, that destiny is not fixed, and that Qi, like identity, is meant to be shared, not controlled. So the next time you watch Kung Fu Panda 3, look past the glowing green fists and ask yourself, was Kai truly the monster? Or was he the cost of a philosophy that refused to bend until it broke? Because sometimes the scariest villains are just the echoes of heroes left behind.